What's going on? So I've been sick. Don't worry. It is a form of coronavirus. I have a common head cold, right? Isn't the common head cold of a coronavirus? It's not the coronavirus. It's a coronavirus. But my throat is obviously jacked up. Haven't ever officially lost my voice, but it's pretty. I sound like Peter Brady in the Brady Bunch in that episode where he goes through puberty. So it might crack a bit here. And I have to do an abridged live stream, probably go for just an hour. Funny that that's abridged. I've done 2-3 hours in a row. So we're gonna talk about so much to talk about with songwriting. Like what I was just doing there, I was just messing around. Okay? I was just going. Exactly, Sam. That's, yeah. So, but I don't have the, I just have a. So, yeah, and never had a fever. Didn't really have a cough. I got stuff on my tubes, but I don't have anything in my lungs. That's why my voice sounds funny. And then I took a Robitussin this morning. I've been taking Dayquil, NyQuil, and I took a Robitussin this morning. But the main reason I'm going short is not because I'm sick, but because I just got a bunch of stuff from Apex Legends that I got to work on. So you can take a sip because I do all the guitars and basses on Apex Legends, sometimes keys even. So I've got a new theme that I have to track guitars on today, so I'll be doing that. And I kind of want to get to it sooner than later. Just let me get a little bit more light. But anyway, back to that riff. I was just goofing around. And so really the genesis of probably almost all songs or most songs for any guitar-related song in particular, but even piano-related songs, is just kind of messing with the instrument and coming up with something. Now, sometimes if it's just a simple chord progression, you know, it's the impetus, the heavy lifting is going to be done in the melody. But, you know, if you can come up with a riff, you can build a song around a riff. And I was... kind of an E blues kind of vibe. Almost something that I would probably, if I did anything with that, I would probably send it to Street Outlaws or one of the shows that I write for. So let's see, who all's here? Sorry, let me say some shout outs. We got a lot of regulars here. We got one moderator, is that it? So Holly, you're the only moderator here. Brian Harkins, good to see you. Sam, thank you, Sam. Roger, awesome to see you. Bob Schumann. Aslan's in the house. Pepper's in the house. Oh no, I hate it when Facebook gets hacked. Thank you, Pepper. I appreciate the prayers. Yeah, I feel fine. Let's see. Did I feel bad? I felt like I never had a fever. I never had serious cough or anything, lungs, and I never lost my sense of taste and smell. Like I can taste this coffee. So that's how I knew it wasn't that thing. But sinus, my sinuses were, and my throat was on fire. I'd wake up in the morning, in fact, the sore throat would wake me up in the middle of the night. And that was a drag. I'm sure you've all been there, but dang, it just was burning, like you know. So singing is going to be out today. I won't be doing singing. But what I want to talk about is, gosh, you know, like I said, we could take a simple progression, the 1 6 4 5, and I have written there the 1 2 3 4 5 6, okay, in the key of G. And so, you know, those are the most common 6 chords. Most common chord is the 1 chord. The second most common chord is the 4 chord. The 5 is probably the third most common chord. The fourth most common chord. There was someone that analyzed like 50 years of pop music, of top 100 hits, and you could probably find it somewhere. It was fascinating, and determine what chords were the most common, and which, you know, percentage of songs that contained the 1 chord, and percentage of songs that contained the, you know, 2 chord or the 3 chord, the 4 chord, so on and so forth. And you know, almost every song contained the 1 and the 4, or the 1 and the 5. And like I said, I've got 3 videos. One of them is really, really popular on YouTube, songs with 2 chords. And so you can write a song. You can write a song with 1 chord. I think Dylan did it more than once, right? Anybody know any Dylan songs that have 1 chord? Anybody know any songs that are 1 chord? I Googled it at one point because I thought I might do it. Sam's our resident scientist here. Yeah, and I haven't been hanging out with any bats or anything. I met Michael Keaton was Batman, right? Wasn't he Batman? Was it Michael Keaton that was like the first Batman movie guy? I met him at a wedding. Or actually, not at a wedding. I met him at a wedding rehearsal. So he was at the rehearsal, but not the wedding. I haven't told you that story. But I had a friend. I was friends with a girl named Dottie Cox, and she married Todd Pickett. And I played at their wedding in Orange County, and her sister is Courtney Cox, and Courtney was dating Michael Keaton at the time. So they came. She was part of the wedding. Courtney was, and Michael was. And this was before Friends. She was still known because she was on Family Ties with Michael J. Fox. She was his girlfriend. But I'm pretty sure this predates their wedding predates Friends. Oh, sorry. You know what? I didn't change anything. Hold on a second. You're right. Boop. Thank you. Also, I didn't monetize it. So a lot of you didn't get ads when you logged on. I won't turn on the overlay. Okay, so save that. All right. Oh, okay. Pin the Discord link too. Guys are so bossy. I'm so obedient. It's kind of a good combo. All right. So let's see. It's all right, Alan. I haven't even started. All right. So again, you know, harmony is such a great thing. Like we can take a right. Joni Mitchell. This is one of my favorite songs. It's a beautiful song, actually. Really good song. But the I didn't pin it. Sorry, I just posted it there. Okay, so here's the Discord link for everybody. And I listened to some of the songs. I hopefully you saw my comments. Trying to be constructive and mostly positive. I don't want to, you know, even if your song is awful, I'm probably not going to tell you. And right now any snippet of a song, a hook, a guitar riff, lyrics, melodies, things like that. Any of that stuff would qualify to get up on that Discord page where we're starting to share some of our creations. My goal here is just to kind of give you some insight on how a lot of it is what we're doing is analyzing past songs and at the same time trying to inspire future songs. So we're trying to be kind of in the middle of, in the present, let's say. And that's a great place to be for just about anything. And so the what today we're going to talk about is a little bit more analysis of things past, but the goal here is to give you more tools, and we've talked about this before, but to give you more tools for things in the future. Okay, so a lot of times you're writing and you want to you hit a wall or you're stuck or you can't you're bored, you're using the same chords. So what I want to do is I want to give you some ancillary chords. Okay, so when we look at the G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, we have the 1, the minor 2, and that we've talked about that. That alone right there is Here, There, and Everywhere. It's also Boys Don't Cry by right, but it's also I can't sing right now, but Here, There, and Everywhere by the Beatles, Paul McCartney, basically. I think he did his in C. It's also, you can think of, okay, so that's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and that's a great, great chord progression. You could totally write a song using that. A blues is typically going to be 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5, 4, 1 or something. It's some iteration of the 1, 4, 5 progression. You could write a song around a blues progression. If you're going to write a song around a blues progression, the hook's going to have to be somewhere. And usually in blues, I think the hook is almost always the lyric, because even the melodies from one blues song to another blues song could be plagiarized. But it's they call it Stormy Monday, and right there, boom, you had a hook. That was like, okay, there's my hook. But Tuesday's also bad, Wednesday's worse, or Thursday. I forget the lyrics, but it's great, and one of my I love that. That's it. One of the best turnarounds in blues. But what I want to do is I want to show you some chords that okay, so if we were to analyze, we have how many notes? We have 12 notes, right? And if each one had a major and a minor chord built on it, we'd have 24 major and minor chords in Western music, okay? Oh, yeah, Daydream Believer, I think you're right. Well, also, Riding the Storm Out. That was it. Oh. It's kind of the 1, 2, 3 in the key of A minor, I guess you could say. Something like that. Hey, John, what's going on? Sorry, I'm not following the chat real solid here. I want to get through some stuff because, like I said, I'm going to, I have to stop in an hour. Because partially because I'm sick, but also because I have a bunch of Apex to do. Stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks and stuff. Okay, so technically, in Western music, we have 24 major and minor chords. Now, the cool thing about, like I said, Western music, we'll primarily use these 6 chords, right? That 7 diminished chord is not common at all. I usually insert, if I want that F sharp in the bass, I usually play D over, the D over F sharp in the key of G I'm talking about. In other words, I use the 5 chord with the 3rd in the bass if I want that leading tone into the root chord, into 1, which in the key of G, the 1 chord is G. Right? That should be fairly easy to understand. So the huge thing about it, like I said, there's 24 chords. We've talked about this. There's 24 major and minor chords in Western music. And you're going, well, if you're trying to figure out a song, and your template is 24 chords, it's that trying to find one chord, you may have to play 24 chords to find that one chord. And that first chord in the song that you're trying to figure out. And that makes it difficult. But if you know the key, then you can get rid of 18 of those chords and whittle it down to the most likely chords in that song. If that song's in the key of G, the most likely chords used are going to be these 6 chords. So immediately you can get that number from 24 down to 6. Okay? And that makes it a little bit easier to figure out songs for yourself. And that I should do a video on how to figure out songs. I don't particularly have a good ear. I'm not like Rick Beato where, if I have a guitar in my hand, I'm pretty good. If you were to ask me, sorry, I had a carrot, and I got carrot bits in my mouth. It's like, Tom, what are you doing? Okay, carrot gets up in there. Yeah, okay. You can write a song about that, right? There would be a lyric to write. Oh no! Now you're all going to start working on it. I can see it already. Oh no! Okay, so. That makes it a lot easier to figure out. If you know what key it is, you can get 24 chords down to 6 chords, and that helps you a lot. However, when you're writing, you sometimes want a bigger palette than 6 chords, or sometimes there's something you want to say that you can't say with the chord that's there. And we're going to bring in 7th chords. So we're not talking when we're talking major minor. We're talking there are 24 different chords. But if we bring 7ths in there, now we can be looking at dominant 7ths, minor 7ths, and major 7ths. So that could be, now you're talking 5 different iterations of 12 notes. So now you're looking at 60 different chords. But I'm just talking about, you can always take most songs down into major and minor chords, even if they're very jazzy and they have jazzy chords. You could still go, oh well, that's still, look at me. It's still basically B flat to E flat, even though I'm playing B flat augmented to B flat 13, flat 9 to E flat major 7. You can still, even if it's a jazzy chord, you could still simplify. And so, but what's crazy is, okay, so if we whittle those 24 down to 6 chords and go, okay, I'm going to write a song with those 6 chords. Technically, though, we could justify musically any one of those other 18 chords, okay? And one of the first things you can do is take minor chords and make them major, and major chords make them minor. For example, if I'm playing in G, and I go to A major, okay, where does that want to go? I mean, still may want to go to C. I kind of like the sound of A to C, even though you get that C sharp going down to C natural. But often A is the 5 chord of the D, and we talked about this with Circle of Fifths a year ago and change. But we could take any one of those chords. Like if you made B minor major, that's going to want to lead to the E minor. Okay, so you can you can take E minor and make it major, and that's going to want to lead to the A minor. So we could do right 1 6 in G. Go to E major instead. So by doing that with those 5 chords, not the G chord, if we change G to G minor, we've kind of changed the key of the song. But we can go away from a key of a song for one chord or two chords, and you can always bring it back somehow. There's always roads you can travel. We've all heard this, right? And those two chords, E flat and F, are nowhere near the key of G, but they work as a good ending. Now, if you're doing C to D, right? That makes, and some people you can make that your song. I mean, that could be. And what key are you in? I would still say you're technically in the key of G. And what those chords are the that would be the flat major 6 and the flat major 7. Okay, now I'm going to get into those nomenclatures, and that's kind of using the Nashville numbering system a little bit. Oh, hey, Bruce is here. Hey, Bruce. Dennis is here. Okay, everybody's here now. I know. Only 1,200 to go, Bruce. Crazy, huh? I'm like, okay, well, maybe before the end of the year at this rate. Although I can tell you, part of that was because my stream rate got up to around 10, 11,000, but now it's back down to 8,000. So it's all based on that. Let me pull up the latest numbers. Yeah, I have 1,100 shy of 100,000. And so I've gotten 1,285 in the last 28 days, which isn't even a full month. But the actual streaming numbers right now, of course, I'm live. That pumps it up a bit, but yeah, 8271. So definitely down. So I don't know. I still not confident that I'll hit 100,000 before the end of the year, but it'll happen soon. Okay. So, so we can take that A minor, make it major, and that wants to go to the D, and your ear can tell you that. The A major kind of wanted to go to C for me. A major might also want to go to B minor. A major might want to go to E major or E minor. You take it wherever you want to take it. That's what you do when you're trying to come up with an idea, a beginning for a song, a way to inspire a melody. And then I think the chords and the vibe and the guitar, the melody will also inspire lyrics, right? Because it's like if I'm doing a 6/8 thing, that's a different lyric than if I went. This could be, but those two different chord progressions and grooves and feels are going to inspire, most likely, are going to inspire a different lyric. I mean, we could probably write songs with lyrics that don't fit the music all day long. And I've heard those before. Like, well, yeah, that's the lyric's interesting over that, that groove or whatever. But I love, if you've ever seen the movie The Mighty Wind, I love the song Never Did No Wandering. It's a song about not wandering anywhere. It's hilarious. I mean, they're freaking brilliant. It's a comedy a movie, obviously. The songs are freaking brilliant. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, Peter. Yeah, borrowed chords, exactly. So, we're gonna look at some of those, okay? And so I don't know that I need to write. We're just gonna. Actually, I want to edit this. Oh, here we go. So I'm gonna start making a list of chords. Okay. So you've got G is the 1, and so what you use is capital I. All right. A minor is the 2. So you use, but it's a minor, so you use small case I's. Okay, that's kind of the nomenclature. So once you understand that, you can break songs down into numbers instead of letters. So B minor would be 3 small case I's. Okay. Let me put a comma there. And then C would be Roman numeral 4, okay, like that. D would be Roman numeral 5, and E minor would be small case Roman numeral 6, okay. So you have to go back to college a little bit, or back to school a little bit for your Roman numerals, but that's all we need to know, really. Okay, now, I said A, right? We said A was a possibility. These are going to be in random sequence. These are not prioritized in any way, not based on popularity. Oops, let me put a space there. So A would be a major 2. Okay, B, and actually more commonly, I think, 7. Let's see if I do this here. B7, I mean, it's B7, such a great chord. I don't know, something about that. But that would be your major 3, but you could also go, that. You could put 7 on there, okay? This is one of my favorites, C minor, which is the minor 4. Oops, minor 4. The Beatles use this so much. But right there, in that, so far now in our little list, okay, I'm going to, I'll keep this open. I just can't see myself. In our little list there, we have the chords for creep, okay? So G, B7, C, C minor, which is also a Holly song. Okay, so the B7 wants to go to E minor. It's the 5 of the E minor chord. But I love that B7 to see. In fact, in ETA, which that song I wrote with Bieber, I do that. So I go, what do I do? Actually, I go the opposite. Now that I think about it, I go C major, I go to B7, but that leads to E minor in this case. So I'm in the key of G. Technically, I'm in the key of E minor on that song. Okay. But I use that B7 in the key of the relative key of G. So and I use it to go to the E minor, which is in this case the 1 chord. Okay, but the C minor, the minor 4 chord, is a great chord. It's just so fun to play, and if you look at it, like if you on the guitar, you play that part, like take an A minor chord and slide it up 3 frets and go to the 4th fret, so we're on the 4th fret there. And then we go to this G. And we could just go to the top. There's that. And that's just so mysterious sounding. So this is our G chord. Here's our B. I'm sorry, here's our D, the 5, and here's the B. So there's no G. I'm getting rid of the G. And I'm just sliding up a fret, and I get the C and the E flat. And that gives us G to C minor. And that's just a great sound. See, C major would sound like, right? Amen is, amen, amen. But that minor 4 is a great chord. But what you might want to do, this is kind of one of my songwriting tricks. Yes, the 5 chord, John, you're correct. 5 chord in minor keys are often, very, very often, in fact, more often than not, in classical music, in flamenco music, in Latin music, the 5 chord is major, even though theoretically it should be minor. And by making it a major chord, like we're in the key of E minor, then that B7, by making that a D sharp there, you're creating E harmonic minor. There's E minor, Aeolian, and then harmonic, which accommodates that B7. Okay, so yes, John, you're 100% correct. So let's see. Somebody could write a song called Laundromats. I met her at a laundromat. There's a lot of movies that have a lot of TV shows that have scenes and movies that have scenes in laundromats. It's a very common, probably because they can rent them really cheap. That's probably why. But here's one of the things is, in fact, let me shift this real quick. Hold on. I'm going to add to this list. Okay. Oh, say. Okay. Weird. I don't remember it asking me to say. Okay. We'll add to this list in a second. We're going to come up with a bunch more chords. All right. In fact, I can make this a little smaller. I think that's okay, right? Everybody's okay with that. I'm going to need the room. But that C minor chord, or any chord that's outside of the standard 6 chords, one thing you could do, remember music is, we're talking about manipulating people. We're talking about manipulating emotions. Anybody, who doesn't fess up to that is BSing you. But one of the things you can do is that one of those weird chords, you can save it, okay? Even if it's just a minor substitution. Like say your chord progressions, we did this before, I remember. And say you do this, this is your song. And you get to that maybe second chorus or the third chorus. And you change that. Instead of playing G, you play E minor, which is the minor sub. If you did it the whole time, that would just be the song. And so that E minor is never going to surprise anybody. But if you set it up for 2 minutes where you're playing G, C, G, D, and then you swap out the G for the E minor on the first time, and you maybe do that a couple times, now you're bringing an element of surprise. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it's funny because I always talk about this. And, that music is manipulation, or music is tension and release. But, if you're doing the same thing over and over again, there's no tension. It's fully expected. And I don't know if you've watched it yet, but the Rick Beato interview with Sting was great. And the very first thing they talk about is they like, if music doesn't have a surprise, if there's not something that surprises them in the first 8 bars, they pretty much lost interest. And they give Bach as a good example. I'm trying to think of, I think that's... I can't... Something like that. But Bach is full of surprises. I mean, the fugues, oh my gosh, I listen to those fugues and I'm just like, how does he do that? I can almost imagine writing it. Some of those things I can't even imagine playing, although I've played some fugues on guitar, but very difficult because fugues, the way fugues work is you play, there's a melody, and then they do that, they play that, move that melody. Thank you, John. They move that melody somewhere else, and they do a different melody on top of that, and then they move that melody. And you've really could potentially have 4 melodies going on at the same time, and on guitar that's just really hard. Fugues weren't written for guitar; they're written for organ, which you have 2 hands and 2 feet, so you can potentially kind of cover all your bases between your appendages on an organ. But yeah, so surprise is key. So that C minor, so if I did that progression, let's say I did that G, what would happen if I did that? I don't even know. blah 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 blah. We got a song here. I can't sing right now because my head cold's getting me all jacked up. That actually sounds really cool, right? Woo. And I love that. Woo. That's very Beatlesy. Okay, now check out what just happened there. Because I went to E minor, all right? So my original chord progression was G, C, G, D. Now, this could just get us to a new progression to write over. So, and messing around is the best way to come up with something. Okay, just having the guitar in your hand and messing around and experimenting, literally trying to make mistakes is, 90% of the best ideas I ever had were completely accidental. And that's true for a lot of songs. And so I may decide at this moment, oh, you know what? My song is now this. Now the element of surprise will be completely gone from that. The only time you're going to be surprised is the first time you hear the chord progression. So but it might be, for me, it might be a way to go, oh, that's a really cool song idea, though. Like, how can I make this more interesting? Well, I want you to notice something. So I went E minor to C minor to G. In fact, that just, without going to the D, is actually almost better. That's very interesting. Now, if you look at that, the E minor has an E in it. So another way to play E minor is like this. Okay? So I'm playing 5th fret. I'm on the 4th string, 3rd string, and 2nd string. 5, 4, 5. Okay? And then I go to C minor. And then I go to G. Listen to that top line. Okay, now I already have another idea. So that could be the hook. See, that could be a string line. Or piano. Right? Or a guitar hook on top of it. I could do it up an octave. I mean, knowing your voicings, again, this all goes back to Cage method. Knowing your fretboard, your voicings really, really helps you kind of create guitar ideas, lick ideas, riff ideas, layers that you're going to add, or, if you're in a band and there's another guitar player and one guitar player's going, and you can go. Because you know a little bit of theory, you know a little bit of Cage method, you know a little bit of your fretboard. You can come up with ideas like that. But what could I do? What chord would have a C sharp in it so I could keep that dissension going? Meow, 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 meow. That's not quite meow, meow, meow. Is it? Is meow, meow, meow pure chromatic? So I could go to an A chord. I could go to, if I went to D, I could go to D major. That might be interesting. Let's see what that's like. Or F minor, F sharp minor. Nah. See, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You'll know right away. Maybe just that, which is basically G with a flat 5. But if it goes to, that's if I add the A in there, then that becomes, that's an A9 chord. really, I like that voicing of A9. A open 5, 4, 2. Sorry, nothing with my. I'm not going to isolate my in the middle finger, but I'm not using it. And then first finger on the second, and open E string. But you get this. It's kind of cool sounding. So what was the first chord? E minor. Basically writing a song together. But do you see how my mind is working? It's like, whoa, what if I kept going? Or what if I went down to C? I could do that too. That might be, yeah, that might work. E minor. I go E minor to C minor to G to maybe D7. That's a little corny. Pure C might be more interesting. C minor, G major to C major. That's kind of cool. A lot to write over them. Interesting sounding, you know. But it was all that all those ideas kind of came from noticing there was this chromatic movement between E minor, C minor, and G. All right? Does that make sense? So what I'm trying to do is kind of live up to that comment that I got that I love, which is don't just show how to play music, show how to make music. And it's really all about being curious. It's about tapping into the creative part of you that I believe you were created to be creative. Because you're made in the image of God who created, like, look at a microscope and look at a flower, look at a leaf. I mean, geez, look at a snowflake, for crying out loud. It's like, it's insane. You know, we're designed to be like that. So tap into that energy of that creative energy that is in all of us. You know, and then you can start to see some of, you know, you'll start to find things and come up with ideas, and it's pretty amazing because you think about how there can still be songs written that are new. And I do hear a lot of derivative things. I hear pop songs that are derivative of Beethoven, for crying out loud. But and the Beatles were derivative, and you know anybody who came after the Beatles were probably derivative of the Beatles. But it's definitely and by the way, thank you, John, and thank you, Lena. I appreciate the super chat coinage. It really helps. I watch Rick Beato. If I was Rick Beato, I'd just be live all day because the money just keeps rolling in, right? And he should add it up sometime. Dude, you just made $1,000 in 30 minutes. You know, that's almost my minimum wage. Okay, so you can see where you know I just picked one of those chords and inserted it into our G thing, the C minor, which just again brings in a lot of things. The B7 is another one where the B7 works a lot of times in lieu of D. So if you've got a D chord, try B7 in its place and see what happens. So we have our see, that definitely wants to send you to so, and that's interesting because remember we used the E minor as a sub for the G, right? But if we want to really set that up, then now we know, wait a minute, if I use the B7 instead of the D, that'll set up the E minor instead of the G. And those are two different, you know, chord progressions, but they... There's your chorus. There's your chorus right there. And so it's a little bit more interesting than just 3 chords. We've added 2 chords in there, including one that's outside of the key. And if you're soloing over that, you're going to have to make an accommodation. You might have to make an accommodation for that being second chord. If it's going by, if it's not going by, if it's going by really fast, you almost don't have to. But but a lot of times when you have a weird chord and you're soloing over something and a weird chord shows up, you really want to kind of map out that chord on the fretboard. Try to find some shapes that you can use, because there's going to be a sweet note there. In the case of this, that D sharp is the sweet note in the D7 chord. And so you can get some really fun, interesting melodies or interesting riffs if you accommodate, vive la différence, let's say. Okay, so let's see. Another one, and I'm going to write in a second, but I want to play it first, is D minor instead of D. I like the sound of a minor 5 chord. The minor 5 chord, what happens is, what that does is that makes the 4 chord become the 1 chord. So in the case, if I put D minor in here in this progression instead of D, that C is going to sound like the 1 chord. You're technically in the key of C. Now if I go back and forth between D and D minor, that's different. But if I only use a D, so if I went, technically I'm in this key of C. Right, Sam? And I know Sam and John often follow along with these, the harmonic and the theoretical aspects of this. But does it? Okay, because we say, oh, well, now technically you're in the key of C. Here's the rub, though. Here's how you know if you're really in the key of C, and I'm going to give you a good example of this. But what chord does the song want to end on? If that's our progression, it's G, C, G, D minor. Again, does it want to end on a C, or does it want to end on a G? It probably wants to end on a G chord, which then would say, okay, it's the relative G scale or key to the C. I don't want to get into, there's no quiz on this, okay? But that would be G mixolydian. So you could say, oh, the song's in G mixolydian. And when I'm writing music for TV and stuff, and I'm setting my music to the other composer to mix, I make up a name for it, because these are instrumental songs. I make up a name, I put the tempo, and I put the key in there. Usually the key's a minor key or a major key. But sometimes it's a mixolydian key. So I'll put that in there. I'll write, sometimes it's a Lydian key. So I'll put that. So you can have a song in mixolydian key, right? In modes. Yeah, exactly. So we're talking modes. I don't want to get into mode. We've talked about modes. But if we were to take that D major and make it D minor. Now, what if I did it in the context of the song? I did both chords. Let's see how I could do that. Maybe, what if I just go... To me, that doesn't want to go back. It kind of wants to go to A minor or C from there. So you may end up with, instead of a 4 chord progression, you might end up with an 8 chord progression. Okay, maybe. You're a minor 4. That was a surprise. Cool chord progression, right? Now again, keep in mind, I could take that chord progression and I could play it a billion different ways, okay? So, a chord progression doesn't make a song by itself, but I could change those chords in different spots. Remember, we push them. If I push every one of those chords except the first chord, it's going to be like, oh, okay, now it's an R&B song. I need a horn section, right? If I go, that's it. every other one. And that, again, harmony is a great way to manipulate, right? Get that Lydian sharp 11 sound and make people's hearts go, oh my gosh, who's about to die? Right? Or maybe that's more like, I'm so happy, right? You know, I don't know. You could I could hear both in that, ironically. But you can also manipulate people with rhythm, right? I could play G for a bar, and then I could play those next 3 chords over the next bar, and then what was the chord after E minor? I could play A minor for a bar, and then play the next 3 chords after that, E minor, C, and over 1 bar. So I end up with a 4-bar progression with 8 chords. It'd be something like this. It'd be like. It's a little awkward, but. Same chord progression, but a completely different feel, and you've totally turned it into a new thing. So you could start there. I always, like I said before, people always want to know, songwriters, what do you start with? You know, lyrics, melody, and there is no right answer. Everybody does it different. And like I said, Kelly, the girl, in fact, we're in the middle of writing a Christmas song right now. She's going to release on her Patreon account. It started with my chords, my hook idea. And then she wrote, but she has a book. She has a book of lyrics, and I don't think, even though she's a very good singer, I think those lyrics are outside of melody. She waits for something that has some harmony, that then she can take that harmony, let it inspire a melody with these lyrics. And she'll, I would play her something, and she'd flip through her book looking for lyrics that fit the music that I was playing. Again, we can have the wrong lyrics for a tune, for a groove or for a production, a track. All we're talking about is the third thing on this list. Just to give you an idea how much we can talk about with songwriting. Oh, you bought the Beato book? Yeah, I should buy it just to support him. Sweet Alabama is in D. Yeah. Okay, Sam, that's a great idea. That's a great thing. It's in D. I'll show you I'll show you an example. There's like a bunch of songs that are. What I like about you. Right? Or R.O.C.K. in the USA. Or Cherry Baby by Neil Diamond. They're all the same chords. E, A, D, A. Okay, harmonically, that's the 5, 1, 4, 1 in the key of A. But you would never end those songs on it's not the key. Okay? I mean, you could even use the case of example of blues, because if you've got 3 7 chords. Remember, we talked about this when we talked about the blues. E7, A7, B7. That's 3 different keys in one song. So, yeah, if you resolve that in A, you could make the argument that it's in the key of A. But the problem is that I got to do my tennis elbow exercises. Push on the spot that hurts, right there where the connection is, and then move your wrist. I wish that we'd get better. I'd love to start playing tennis again. And I hate for the last time I played tennis to be the one time that Alex beat me. That's just not right. It's just not right. I hope I can get back up to speed so I can clean his clock. But yeah, that my hand, my wrist, my elbow, definitely affected that game. But really what affected that game was, for the first time we played, he got patient. Alex did. And there's probably a lesson for life in here, but he just kept the ball in play and let me make mistakes. That was always my tact with him. So I would just keep the ball in play. He would make mistakes. He was always trying to kill it. It's like, I can hit, and then he hit it in the net, or he hit it long, or hit it out or something. And so he had a plan before he showed up to play tennis a month ago, and he beat me 6-0. But again, I was like, I'm making excuses. But he actually changed his strategy, and it worked for him. So I feel like it's not like he got any better. He just got a better strategy, and so I can beat him still. I have no idea by what I mean by rub. Okay, when I say rub, it rubs if it's dissonant. It sounds we're talking about rub, that's a rub. It's like, well, those are rubbing against each other wrong. I think the origin, maybe, I do this, rubbing the cat's fur in the wrong direction, right? You know a cat, they love it when you rub this way, but when you rub the wrong way on a cat, dogs don't care. But a cat, when you rub the fur the wrong direction, I think that's what the origin of the term rub means. It's dissonant. It doesn't work, or it causes, and rub can be good. I feel like, this, there's some dissonance in rub there, but it creates the tension and the dissonance in one. But rub is often used in the studio too, like, that part over there is rubbing against this part. The basses on the string section there, they're rubbing against the electric bass. So let's mute the electric bass on this section and then bring it back for this section, because the basses aren't playing in that range. They're not rubbing against each other. So that's what, if I use the term rub in this conversation, that's probably what I did. Now, I told you I was going to go an hour and I want to talk for 5 more hours. But I really have to, the James Bond end chord, it definitely has it just paints a picture. Now it paints a very specific picture. That chord was used in music long before James Bond, but now it's just associated with James Bond. Well, I don't even remember Neapolitan, you're taking me back to music theory class, which was literally, let's see, I'm 60. That would have been 41 years ago. So Matthew, I'm not sure if you remind me what the Neapolitan chord is. Augmented chords. With a Bieber song, I used augmented chords. The diminished chord. See, right there, I used a B7 augmented. I went B7 to B7 sharp 5 to B7, kind of creating a little melody. So in that case, that augmented leads beautifully to that. But augmented chords are going to kind of, well, that's not, I don't want to say that, because we've heard augmented chords in other contexts. Augmented chords, to me, especially augmented 7th chords, have a jazzy vibe, or R&B or gospel-y. But we can also use augmented chords. I think of Baby Come Back. What was it? Not Baby Come Back. Baby Hold On. Eddie Money. So yeah, you can use augmented chords in very creative ways. You can use major. Stairway to Heaven. Uses that minor with a major 7th, kind of the James Bond chord. Technically, that's the James Bond chord, right? That's the 2nd chord of Stairway to Heaven. So yeah, messing around, and the way you come up with augmented chords is by moving the 5th up a fret. Okay, so if I play A major, very common chord progression. So yeah, you can totally use them in creative ways. They're going to almost invariably create an emotion, almost a predictable emotional response. So you may not. I mean, although you know, that may be a little different than, but that's more because the energy and the groove I played is different. So yeah, there's definitely Neapolitan chord is the flat second. Oh, okay, the flat second. Flat second. So that would be A flat, right? I always think of Spinal Tap when I think of that. So the Neapolitan is the flat second. I mean, I would keep, if I was doing it like the flat major, A flat major over in the key of G, I would probably keep the G in the bass, which creates kind of an augmented sound, right? You get that sharp 5. You also have the sharp 1 and the sharp 3. Everything gets sharped. I had a progression. I mean, the very famous. All right, everybody, when they learn the E chord, it's like one of the first things they figure out. Oh, Spanish music, right? I had a chord progression where I took that A. I put this in a song a while back, a long time ago, actually, before I was married. My Police-like band. What was it? What was the lyric? But I took that, right? That progression, A, B flat, C, B flat, A. And I moved the bass line around. So I didn't, that was just too old-fashioned sounding to me. So what I was, which I really like. So I did A, and then I did B flat over G, and then I did C over F, and then back to B flat over G. And I thought that was cool sounding. That was on one of our records, but yeah. So I'm trying to remember the name of the song. Okay, so I have to log off because I have a bunch of Apex Legends stuff I have to do for Stephen Barton, and new character theme, and I'm working on a Christmas song with Kelly Jekyll. I need to work on that today. So I got a lot to do today. Plus, I'm sick. I'm pretty run down. I don't have the coronavirus. I mean, I have a coronavirus. I have a common cold, head cold. Man, my throat was on fire. Thank you, Matthew, for following, checking this out. Steve Settle, sorry. See you again. I'm live on Mondays, 9 o'clock. Usually, last 2 Mondays, I went for 3 hours. I could literally talk nonstop on this subject. I mean, look at all the song element things. And I could talk for 6 months on harmony alone. Just like Rick Beato. Rick Beato's a big harmony. But I think there's a lot more to songs than harmony. I think the hook could be anywhere in any one of these things. Literally, the hook could be the dynamics of the song. That could be your hook. You could have some radical dynamics that makes it so, like, wait a minute, what was that song? There was a song, what was the name of that band? They were from Glendale, and they had this, K-Rock in LA was playing this song that was like 17 minutes long by them, and it was all over the place, but it had tempo changes, and the tempo changes were the things that were like, I even did a song, the tempo changes were the things that made it like hookish, that made people go, well, wow, play that song again, because that was crazy. But I had a song that was like, what I did was I took the loop, the drum loop, and I had it normal for 4 bars, or 3 bars, and the 4th bar, I slowed it down. Like slowly, gradually slowed down, and then went back to tempo in bar 5. So it ended up really weird feeling. And I tried to play over, very difficult to play over. And I ended up creating something, I don't remember what it was called. But I ended up creating something that never went anywhere with it. It was more of an experiment. Yeah, I was just talking about the Sting interview. The first thing that they talk about is that music to them should have surprise. Like if something doesn't surprise me in the first 8 bars, I pretty much lose interest, is what Sting said. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think I can go a little longer than 8 bars. But sonically, I feel like, to me, sometimes it's like sonically there has to be something there, or I have to hear personality. I have to hear emotion. I have to hear human. Generally, I want to hear something human. And that will compel me to listen further, and I thank you for, we're posting songs on the Discord. The Discord link is there. So if you're writing something, or if you have written something, I will try to listen to them and make a little comment if I can. Yeah, Paul, experiment away. And I just touched on something. In fact, I forgot to add the we did D minor, which would be the flat, the minor 5. And then if we did E major, or E7 is more likely, okay? That would be the major 6. Like that, of course, with the 7. And E major would lead to the B minor, right? Wait, no, E major would lead to the A minor, sorry. And so that, if your song is going to go to an A minor chord, you want to get to it in a more interesting way than, say, G to A minor, you can go E7 to A minor in your song. So you can start experimenting with chord progressions. Again, we came up with an 8-bar chord progression, and I could do it a billion different ways. That's the crazy thing, because that only accommodates one of these things, right? The harmony. But you could start putting, song form or arrangement or genre, the groove, the meter, the tempo, the rhythm changes everything. The rhythm should be way up here, actually. I didn't really put this in any particular order, just as it came to us. Key or key change. And there is, if you're wondering what key is good for me, it doesn't matter. If you're writing the song, every key can be good for you, because you can write a melody in the range of D to D in every key. Okay, that's not to say every song is good key. Every previously recorded song isn't a good key for you. No, you would have to change the key of a song that pre-existed to make their range fit. But the range of a song, that if you're writing a song, the range is up to you. And if I'm writing a song, the range is going to be very narrow if I'm writing it for me. So let's see. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Next Monday should be fine as far as I know. It's just I'm kind of fighting this cold. My throat's still sore. In fact, I'm going to I hate to get a lozenge, because then I won't have my coffee. Make my coffee taste funny. But I do have my sense of taste. I don't have a cough necessarily, not really. Anytime you hear me coughing, it's just to get the phlegm off my vocal cords. I have my sense of taste and smell. No fever. In fact, if anything, my fever's temperature's below normal. So, I'm going to sign off, and if maybe Thanksgiving, I'll sign on with Alex. If you guys are just bored and sitting around, or waiting to 2 seconds, then maybe Alex and I could jam or something. We'll have a bunch of people over here, so maybe we'll all jam like last year. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. I'm sure I'll get better. I feel better. My throat's still sore. It drives me crazy. My sinuses are fine, though, which is good. And I didn't have a sinus infection. I did the neti pot thing and didn't burn, so I knew I didn't have a sinus infection, which is good. Let's see, I think that's everything. So we did pretty good. We got up to, looks like 37 peak. Little on, but we'll be good. Anyway, God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next Monday, if not sometime between now and then. Bye-bye.